Welcome to 40 Below Zero, an international podcast about life with invisible illnesses, hosted by two guys living with multiple sclerosis. Coming to you from the Keystone State of Pennsylvania, I'm your co-host Nix, and with me on this ride is Terry, a Londoner who calls Ontario home. We're so happy you're here with us as we continue to try and normalize a life that is anything but. So let's get into it. What's going on, Warriors? Welcome back to the show. Terry, no guest this week.
No guests this week, man.
Just me and you.
Yeah, a little scary, no?
It's been a while. I'm not, it's been a little bit. Oh, good. Now that I see it on camera, we're not wearing the same shirt. I thought this is maroon, not red.
You know, I have a bit of color blindness, right? But when I
Yeah.
say that, people tend to think that I see no colors.
Right.
But
But yours doesn't have the super cool I voted sticker.
no,
Here it is. We're recording on a Tuesday, not a Sunday.
they don't
Uh,
give us stickers for voting, do they?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Well, listen, we typically don't do anything unless there is some kind of immediate reward. So if you don't get we don't give blood without cookies. We don't vote without stickers. There has to be a reason to do what you're supposed to do.
We talked about this before, right? We're not allowed to give blood because we have MS.
Um, I don't. That's. I wouldn't say that that's a blanket statement. I think
Okay.
it depends on which DMT you're on. Um,
It makes
because
sense.
well, yeah, since they separate out the red cells from the plasma, they might be able to use some of it. But I'm many things, Terry, but a phlebotomist I am not. There's your big word for the day.
What does that mean, man?
I don't know the exact definition, but they're the person who specializes in taking your blood.
Okay. Sorry. I promise you I'm educated, but not to your level, bro.
First of all, I'm not looking down on you, Terry. I don't even know what the exact meaning is. All I know is when the nurses have a hard time drawing blood, they call the phlebotomy team. So I guess in a sense they're like the SWAT team for for blood draws. When the nurses need backup, they call the
Phlebotomy?
yeah. That's your big word for the day.
Okay. Okay.
Is that the red microphone behind you?
No, no. Oh, that's remember I was telling you I got the cover?
Yeah. How do you like it?
I had a few people say no. First of all,
Yeah.
I'm wearing red, so it wouldn't look good
Yeah.
if I and I have a lot of red around, so I thought it would be
Yeah.
cool because of the black, but no.
Sure.
Some people were like, it looks like a lipstick.
Yeah, I could see that.
So I just put it right here just for now.
I've seen a purple cover for these microphones, and it doesn't look right either.
Yeah, I like the black and look, and I like how we have our little band over here, our MS awareness band. So let me tell you, I went to another Rise Above Adaptive Climbing meeting, board of
Oh,
directors meeting.
okay.
Dude, they're raising money. They have plans up ahead. It seems like a really cool nonprofit organization, and all about helping those who want to climb and are not able to climb. So it's cool. You're never left alone in the dark.
Yeah, that is cool, man. That's a great organization to be involved in.
Hmm. Yeah,
So are you what position? You're the secretary, right?
I am the secretary. I'm the
See,
secretary.
oh, I'm gonna go. It was nice seeing you today, Terry. It's fine. See what
Somebody else,
happens. See what happens when we don't have a guest. Oh my goodness.
somebody said that to me, and I'm like, yeah, that's so smart. Eh, I got a story for you.
Oh, all right, good.
You tell me, because I'm worried that I'm just a sensitive guy. I'm
How-
dramatic.
Okay.
So let me tell you what happened. And so I'm at the restaurant. Love this place, and it was a trivia night. So a bunch of
My favorite.
friends went trivia night, and the guy hosting the trivia night was walking around making sure the tables were all good, everyone's okay. And as he was coming towards me, I noticed that he had a nice long beard. So I'm ready for him to approach the table so I can say some smirk comment about the beard. Yo, what's going on? Only one beard per restaurant. I don't know. So as he's walking towards me, I'm giving him eye contact, not looking me in the eyes. Dude, I like this guy. So I'm just being dramatic right now.
Hmm.
So he's walking towards me, eye contact not happening. And I'm like, when is this guy going to look at me in the eyes so I can, oh, we connected. I can say something. So
Right.
he's walking towards me, no eye contact, already looked at the whole table. And I'm already in my mind, I'm already thinking, dude, this is so obvious. There's no eye contact. And I can't say anything because I know everyone's going to say, oh, relax. Oh, he's probably busy. Or so as he's walking, by the way, now I transfer a lot. As you can see, if anyone's watching the video, I'm sitting in a different chair. I'm all about sore awareness. I never wanted to say that word before because it's
Yeah, you
embarrassing.
figured it out.
Yeah, that's it, man. So I'm switching chairs all the time. Even when I go to a restaurant, I put my chair right next to the chair and I swap chairs. So this guy is coming towards me, no eye contact, whatever. And as he approaches the table, smack right into my chair.
Ah, really?
Yeah, I'm okay. It's who cares? You hit my chair. I'm not like, oh, you're gonna damage my chair. No, my chair is, really a strong chair. So he smacks into it, and then he looks straight down into the chair, and he apologizes to the chair.
Huh.
Now, I'm going to say the story and then we'll talk about it after if I'm being sensitive. So he looks down, he goes, sorry. And then he starts walking away. And as he's walking away, I mumble it loud enough, but not that loud. And I say, oh, you're sorry to the chair or to me?
Hmm.
And then he walks away. And then someone at my table, a friend, looked at me and said, gave me that look of approval of like, what the hell was that?
Yeah,
And then
right.
and then I said, "Did you guys see that? Did you guys see that he said sorry to the chair?" And then she agreed with me. Am I being sensitive? Like, really, think about it. Am I being sensitive? And then there was a lot more than that. I don't want to get into it because it was a friend of mine saying, "Well, this is your opportunity to educate." And it's like, "What do you want me to do?" And it's like, "Oh no, it's okay. Just educate." It's a lot more than that, man. I don't want to get into it because already I'm feeling like I'm just being sensitive and dramatic. Those are the two words I always come up with, you know?
Hmm. Well, why do you think you're being sensitive and dramatic? So he looked past you directly at the chair?
I was sitting beside the chair. When he bumped into the chair, he didn't look at anybody else but into the chair and said, sorry. And it was clearly
Oh,
my chair because it was right next to me. My half my leg was on it basically. But it's not even that. It's when he walked away, I, I was a little upset and I started joking about it with the people on my table.
right,
And it was a friend of mine, and I respect everyone at this table. And
right.
I got hope that no one's going to listen to this. But this one person at the table said, "This is your opportunity to educate the children." And I'm like, "What?" And I got so bitter about that, even though I love this friend. But I
Hmm.
got so bitter about that mentally because I'm like, who are you to tell me when I'm supposed to educate someone? Actually, I'm just talking. I'm not making fun of anyone in case they're listening to this. But in my head, I'm like, no, no, no. You need to educate your kids to grow up to be more sensitive to the disabled world. You know what I mean? It's like, no, no,
I
no.
do.
I'm not supposed to educate people. Yeah, I get it. We're in this world now. We're supposed to give awareness and all that stuff. But so what? Now that I'm disabled, I have a job. Now that I'm disabled, I have to carry on with my regular life. And on top of that, I got to make sure everyone is getting educated about the disabled. Does that make sense? Or am I just sensitive? Help me out, bro. Whatever you say, I will accept. I promise you. On camera. On camera. Afterwards, me and you might have a chat. Your turn. Tell me.
Um, well, I don't know, Tara. It's I will say that I take as many opportunities as I can to educate other people um about MS and about what, my life is like, but I mean, not every moment is a teachable moment. Sometimes people are just, I don't know. I don't want to say rude, but sometimes people just react and, he could have been thinking of like 16 other things related to the event and look, he probably looked down at the chair so that he probably probably looked at the chair to see if he had done any damage to what he had bumped into. And then when you weren't in the chair, he just apologized because his head was already down. I don't know. I don't know. It's a tough one, man. But the chair didn't take any damage, right?
No, 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 it
Okay.
didn't. It didn't. It's solid.
Then and the
And
rest
maybe
of the night wasn't ruined, right?
at the same time, when he kicked my chair, it made me really happy.
Okay. How so?
Really weird feeling, almost like, oh, it finally happened to me in front of these six people.
I see what you're
And
saying.
something like that finally happened to me, and these six people are there to witness it. But
I
the
got it.
reaction I got wasn't the reaction I wanted.
Oh, is that why you were upset about it?
Maybe. I'm like, I don't know, maybe. Dude, a thousand things go through my mind at the time.
Okay.
And then I base it on the reactions of everybody else. So when I see that one lady who's like, gives me that look, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, right? I'm like, you're my best friend right now. And then this lady beside me who's like, this is your time to educate. I'm like, no, this is like, I don't know, man. I'm just,
Now, sometimes I don't listen, I don't I don't think you always have to be in teacher mode. I think sometimes you're allowed to have a life too. You don't always have to be educating people. Um and there is a shared responsibility in my opinion that we're not the only ones who are responsible for disability awareness. It is the problem. Well, I don't want to say the problem. The thing of it is the disability population as a whole is a smaller number of people than those without a chronic illness or an invisible illness. So it often gets overlooked by those without it to teach about it. Um, but it is kind of everyone's responsibility to educate themselves, so that way it's not such a shock when they're around someone with a disability. They don't get uncomfortable, you know. But it is also our job to say, um, like what Alex said um, last week. He, he would just rather have people say, "Can you repeat that?" than say, "Uh huh, uh huh, uh huh." Like, so it's Alex's in that scenario. It's Alex's job to repeat himself, but it's the person's job to say, "Can you repeat yourself?" So both parties has an obligation there, in my opinion.
no, I get that. I get that. I keep remembering that kid that looked at you
Yeah.
and then said to his mom, and I'm like, who? And we talked about that at that dinner table because Katrina was like, oh my God, this, and she repeated that moment. And I'm like, yeah, and then we were talking about that. And I'm like, it was the teacher
Mhm.
that taught that kid
Whoever that was.
did an excellent job getting
Yeah.
through to that kid. And that kid thought that he was teaching his mom.
Right.
And it was so great. So I'm curious what the mom's reaction was. Was she like, yes, honey, you're right?
Uh,
Or
ha-
no, 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 you're wrong. He's just being lazy.
yeah, no, from what I remember, she kind of looked over her shoulder and saw what was, who I was, and then, just kind of agreed. And then they went down an aisle and that was it. But it's just that simple. It's just that, 45-second interaction that gives you hope that somebody's out there doing it right.
And then I went into the whole joking of when a kid says, oh my God, what happened to you? I come up with a crazy story. And a couple of people at the table disagreed with me. I said, no, why would you do that? I'm like, because it's my story. It's my life. I'm having fun with it. It's like, yeah, but aren't you supposed to educate the child? And then I'm like, no, that's the parents' issue, not my issue. I will help the parents and say, just like you said once, it's because I didn't eat my vegetables. That's why I'm in a wheelchair. And I said that
Yeah,
as
it's
a
a good one.
joke. And they're like, no, parents would hate you for saying that. I'm like,
Yeah.
what do you mean?
Yeah, no, I listen, I used a lot of times when you're in law enforcement, you hear the joke like a parent will say to their kid in your presence, you better be good or that cop's gonna lock you up. And,
Oh boy.
and that paints a bad picture for kids, it makes them think that all we're doing is looking out for bad kids. And I got so sick of hearing it once. I was like just having a bad day and the woman just caught me at the wrong time. I was out at a park. We work this detail where we basically do parking for these summer concerts. So I'm standing in a black and gray, mostly polyester uniform with all of my gear on, my ballistic vest, like, and a hat. And it's like 95 degrees Fahrenheit out. So I'm thoroughly uncomfortable because I'm now like 2 hours into this detail. And this woman said that. And I looked at her and I said, no, I looked at the kid and I said, don't worry, kid. We only lock up bad parents, not bad
Oh no
kids.
way. I love you, bro. That was perfect. Was the kid like, lock her up?
Yeah. He was like, right here.
And then you like, come here, lady. You just start cuffing her?
No, but no, so I get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we just say things.
Dude, that's terrible, man.
Yeah.
I love that you said that though.
I just had enough. Now, normally composed. I was composed and professional, but it was just so hot and I was just out of my mind.
What did the parent think you were gonna do? Like,
I don't know. She
that's
walked
right.
away. She walked away quickly. Yeah, a lot of times parents expect that. A lot of times the parents expect you to say, "Yeah, you better do what mom or dad says."
You
And
see
most of the
this?
time, I said, "No, we only go after the real bad people or something like that." I would try to make them feel like they weren't about to get arrested.
My God.
Seriously.
I never had any I know we're going side topic, but I've
Ah,
never had any bad experience. My parents never said anything bad about police. You know what I mean? Actually, the
yeah.
only one thing I heard bad is there was a lot of traffic. And then I think my dad said, you know why there's a lot of traffic? And I said, why? He goes, because there's a police up ahead directing the traffic. So I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So that always stuck to my mind. Whenever there's traffic, I'm like, there must be a cop somewhere.
A lot of people think that.
So another thing is, I saw my new therapist for the first time.
Oh, great. How'd that go?
Yeah, dude, it went well. But here's the problem. Um, I'm really good. I'm approaching this one differently because I'm really good at saying things that I know that's what the therapist wants to hear.
Amen.
Did we
I'm
talk
guilty.
about this before?
No, I'm guilty of that too. I'm absolutely guilty of that. I have sat in many a session and just when they say, "How's it going?" I either, talk about surface level stuff from the week prior and don't really get into anything too deep, or, I say, if the, so if it was like a primary physician or something, and they say, "Well, what's your pain on a scale of 1 to 10?" And I say, "Oh, it's a 3," and it's really an 8 or a 9. I always did the psychology version of that when they asked me how I was doing, and I was like, "Oh, I'm aware of what's making me sad, and I'm trying to work on it." When in reality, I'm like, "Everything is terrible."
Dude, I get you.
You know?
I'll do the same thing. I'll be like, oh, I'm so irritable. I'm so this and that. But I know it's because I don't communicate it properly. Like I'll
Right.
give the answer that he's probably
Yep.
gonna give me, and
Yep.
he's like, oh, this guy knows what he's talking about. But yeah, it was a
Now,
good session.
so why do you think you do that? I know why I do it. So why would you do that in the past? Like first of all, let me commend you on approaching therapy differently this time around. Let's like Kit says to me, let's try being honest with our therapist and see what happens.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I didn't give him too much. I wanted to approach it so I'm actually r- fixing myself.
Mm,
I want to get over this hurdle of being irritated and not being able to get myself out of that funk in the moment.
okay. But
So
so why do you think you've been lying? Lying basically.
I'm a people pleaser, bro. What
Oh,
else can I say?
okay.
Nobody wants to say it, and everyone's like, I don't want to people please anymore. Dude, I'm human. I'm a people pleaser. I tried. Now I'm doing my boundaries thing, and it's really working.
That's
And
good.
he showed me a lot of. He gave me a few examples, and he's like, check this out. We really connected, but I always connect with everybody because of who I am.
Makes sense.
So I wanted to really connect with this guy. So I,
Wait, does that mean
you know what you're gonna
you
say,
you and I just connected because you just wanted to connect? You're
bro. I am using you. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
the whole thing's been a lie, Terry? No.
Like I would have been the first to tell my therapist about the podcast
Mm,
or tell my therapist about how I was abandoned as a child or how, you know what I mean, to get him on my side. But this time I wasn't giving him any ammo and I was being true to, what I wanted out of him, what I'm going through. And then I let him direct the conversation, talk to me, tell me he gave me a couple videos, a couple links. And yeah, I can't wait to see this guy again.
oh, cool. I was I I'm currently between therapists. But in all honesty, I'm not really looking too hard for my next one. I had one for a little over a year the last time out, and I felt like it had run its course, but I don't know if it ran its course because it came to its natural conclusion or because I had been kind of like brushing a whole bunch of stuff off and I was like, I'm better now. I have all the answers. It just happened to time itself out that my therapist, she got another job and left, and there wasn't anyone in the office that I had really connected with or felt like comfortable enough talking around. Um, and then the other thing is, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I kind of was not in the mood to start over telling my whole story again.
I get that.
I mean, this would have been the third time. Now, I know how ironic that is with you and I having the show where we talk a lot about, you know, our lives and our disease and disability, but I just didn't want to be like, well, it all started when I was, I was just kind of burned out on telling my story at that point. So I stopped. And I figured I had this. So what better free therapy than just bearing my soul to you and the tens and tens of listeners we have?
Dude, I have nothing more to say because I feel like this is why I didn't mention it to him. I I agree with you, man. And I was also worried that he might come and check out the podcast. Like, who am I for him to check it out anyway? But
Well, it's a nice insight in, if someone wants to learn about you or I, all they got to do is just skip the episodes with the guests and they'll learn a whole lot about us. But I don't recommend because all of our guests are awesome.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I had a therapist. First of all, I saw a counselor that was free from my doctor, but it was like a 6 week course.
Right. I remember that.
And then after the 6 week, they hope that they bring you in the right direction
Hmm.
to manage whatever you're going through yourself until you need them again in 6 months or a year. But I don't like that. I want to see someone whenever I want to see them. And it could be
Yeah,
like for 10 years, it could be, because I'm paying essentially.
sure.
I had one cry on me and it was a good feeling. He apologized for crying. I'm sure maybe more, if anyone went through this, please let me know. He was a cool guy. I really liked him. Maybe because he cried of my story. And I was like validating myself, like, shit, man, I'm going through a rough time that this guy started to tear. And he was
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry, man, I shouldn't be crying as a doctor. And I'm like, no, no, it's okay. It's okay. It validates how shitty my fucking life is.
Yeah, right.
So
I'm not making it all up. It is that bad.
that was funny. So
Yeah, I mean, they are human. You're not
yes.
talking like I don't that's the thing my daughter and I talk about a lot where when she talks about her therapist having a therapist because she says, "What do you think doctors don't go to other doctors when they get sick? Are they just immune from needing doctors at some point?"
My cousin is a translator for the refugee camp
Hmm.
somewhere, but every 4 or 5 months, when her contract's over, it's mandatory to see a therapist.
Well, that makes sense. Sure.
Amazing. It should be like that with police, ambulance, paramedics, fire department, whatever the hell,
Yeah.
whoever, because you
Yeah, they're
guys see crazy things. Even the people who pick up bodies,
well, here's so at least in my area, those people who work for the medical examiner's office, their schedule is such that they have a full 7 days off every month.
oh,
And every 6 months, they have to sit with a counselor and get cleared to go back to the job again. And that's been going on for at least 20 years that I know of.
do they
Now,
say the things the counselor wants to hear so they can go right back into work?
oh, I have no idea. I don't know. All I can tell you, my friend does not. I can vouch for that. So if he doesn't, then I would imagine that, and he's like one of these seasoned guys that wasn't his first job. Like he had been in law enforcement for a while. Um, and he tells me, or he told me, we're going back a few years now, but that he said the only way to do it right is to be honest. And he said that's their job. You're not going to tell them anything that either one they haven't already heard or two that they're not prepared to hear. So he said, why wouldn't you? He's like, that's the place you're supposed to do that. He said that's the one place you're not supposed to hold back. Um, but I do know that the departments that I was involved in, there were um, other groups in place that would you could either go to a counselor whenever you wanted, and because of something in your life that may impact your response to the job. And then certainly after all the major incidents, they had what was called the CISM team, the Critical Incident Stress Management Team. Those folks are unsung heroes because they are people, men and women who have been or are currently on both in law enforcement and in emergency services, and they volunteer their time to go to departments where a major incident has happened and help those folks work through that as like a first responder for first responders. And those it's very it's difficult to get on that team, and it should be. I was on a waiting list. I was on a waiting list for that team, but never. I had retired before uh, I had gotten the opportunity. But they're very selective, and rightfully so, because you're asking men and women to open up after having just dealt with a horrendous incident, and the only way you can do that is if they trust that what they say isn't going to go anywhere. Because one of the biggest fears is that you're not going to be allowed to keep doing the thing that you love, which is either volunteering for a fire department or working as a cop, if you tell the truth. That's the biggest fear. So that's what hides it a lot. So you have all these responders who are still, mentally and emotionally in fight or flight mode, and you're trying to break that so they don't get stuck and it becomes something else. So it's a tough job that doesn't get talked about a lot. So I'm glad we kind of segued into it. My hat's definitely off to those folks.
So the the therapist that I saw when I was meeting him doing the whole meet and greet, he knows that I have MS. By the way, 3/4 of our first session, I looked at him and I said, "Oh, by the way, do you know I'm in a chair?" And he's like, "No, I had no idea." And I'm like, "Oh my God, that's so cool." I didn't even bring up that I'm in a wheelchair. Not that it matters, but it does, right? Like,
It's a
so,
component to your life, yeah.
so he understands. But when we did the meet and greet, he said, a lot of my clients I deal with, like I deal with a lot of people who have brain damage. And then he goes, "I know you don't." And then I'm like, nah, I didn't think he would understand if I said,
Well,
I do. But so I was just like, okay, okay. I just moved on. But I was like, oh, that's funny that you say that.
well, there's your
So,
teachable moment.
well, later. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny.
So wait, were you interviewing like over the phone or something?
On the phone, it was a meet and
Okay.
greet. The funny thing is, man, we made an appointment on Tuesday, 12 p.m. And I was ready. 11:45, man. I was ready. And I was like, all right, and I was waiting for his phone call. Guess what? He did not call.
Really?
And I was like, you know what? That was your chance. I'm done with you. But I was referred to him. Someone said, this guy, you got to give him a call. He's good. He's in the area as well, even though he does everything online. But he didn't call. And I'm like, yep, bye. And then the next day he called and apologized profusely. He's like, I don't know what happened. My life just got busy. And of course, my bitter self is like, your life got busy? Dude, I'm in, like, that was your one chance. And then 4 days later, I ended up calling him back. And I'm like, hey, it's Terry, the guy you ditched. I didn't say it like that. I didn't say it like that. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you for calling back. Da, 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 da. And then I tried him. And I'm like, that's not going to ruin it because he might be the best person for me.
It's true.
Why would I get jaded over that? So
Now, the old Terry would have
get out of here. Yeah,
growth, growth already.
you know it. Thanks, bro. And it might have been these shows that we're putting out that's making me grow because I'm listening to so many different people that are dealing with so much shit in this life. And yeah,
Perspective.
thanks, buddy. This is a good therapeutic session so far.
But how do you really feel, Terry? No. How does that make you feel?
Huh?
What else?
What else? I had an episode of Vertigo the other day. Just an episode where it reminded me of what I went through at one point with this
Mm,
vertigo. I call it vertigo. I don't even know if it's actually vertigo. A lot of people say vertigo,
right.
but there's so many different names for it, by the way. There's also another term, labyrinthitis,
Never heard that one.
because back in the day when I was going through this vertigo thing, I ended up calling our healthcare system and saying, I'm not sure what's going on. And they're the ones that say it might be vertigo, it might be labyrinthitis. So I looked at all this stuff up. I think they're kind of the same thing. I don't know.
See,
But
that I don't know.
because I had this vertigo like 15 years ago where and no one goes through the same thing. A lot of people go through vertigo, but my vertigo was cured when I tilted my head to the side.
Hmm.
The dizziness went away.
That's
But then
lucky.
as soon as I bring it up, my head back up to upright position, the vertigo came back with a vengeance so bad. So
Mm,
I just kept my head side. I kept lying down. I kept my head tilted for 2 months. And every
really?
time I brought it up, yeah. So I was in bed. I'm like, don't touch me. I need to lie down. I lost so much weight because of that.
Sure.
And then it went away. Whatever the case is, this is before I got diagnosed. So this is possibly a flare up or a relapse with
Hmm.
MS that caused me to go through that. And now it's gone. I very rarely get any dizziness. And when I get it, it's when I flip around. Like if I'm on bed and I flip,
Right.
too fast, then I'm like, whoa, I need to settle my head. But when I get that, it's like a PTSD moment. I
Sure.
I put my head to the side, like I'm, living like how it was 15 years ago when I had to do that. So I have PTSD from dizziness, man, and I'm sure so many other people do too.
Yeah.
I know that
Uh,
sounds weird.
no, it doesn't sound weird. It's literally it's traumatic is in the word. So if it's traumatic, it's gonna, you know. But it's funny you should bring up, yeah, because vertigo's funny, right? So it's funny you should say that. Um, I had a real concern a couple weeks back about dizziness, vertigo, and all that stuff because I, for the first time in, I want to say 20 years, maybe, I was on a boat I went on one of those whale watching boats.
Okay. Yeah.
You're familiar?
Yes,
Okay.
I am.
So there wasn't not a lot of whales in Cape May at that time, which is fine. I was down Cape May. So we went on this and I was scared. Well, I was scared and concerned because it had been so long and since my my left eye is the issue. Um because it doesn't track at the same speed my right eye does, there's a little bit of a delay. I didn't know if the horizon, like the rise and fall of the boat and the horizon going up and down and like the boat just doing, what boats do,
Mhm.
was going to cause me to like have a vertigo attack for the first time ever in my life, or if I was going to have to like lie down on the boat and close my eyes because it wasn't my boat. There was 30 people on this thing and it was a 105-foot huge boat that we were going miles offshore to try to find whales. And I'm like, once this thing starts, I'm either going to have to
Mhm.
just deal with it or be the guy who's responsible for this thing turning around and everyone's whale watching experience being ruined. So I was very, very, very concerned about that. Thankfully, none of it happened. Um, so it's almost like I became hyper aware of a symptom for the first time in a while because I had not run into that. So thankfully, it all went well.
So you never dealt with real vertigo before?
Not not in a sense like Kit does. Kit has bad vertigo and sometimes it puts her out for the day.
Wow.
Um and I can only imagine all I ever do is whatever she needs. Um I turn the lights down, keep the TV down or off or whatever and just she has that thing for your head like she puts this mask over her head that's like it's in the freezer right now so it's like really cold.
Okay.
So there's this cold gel pack for her head. But no, thankfully, I've never had a vertigo attack like that.
You had that eye issue. I never did.
Hmm.
I had bad vertigo. You never did. That's just see, we're all different.
Yeah. But yeah, it was pretty nerve-wracking leading up to it. And for the first like 20 minutes of the excursion, I was kind of terrified. I was kind of like, okay, I'm just waiting for something to happen that never happened, thankfully. So
Isn't that what anxiety is?
yeah,
The what if shadows. Remember that?
yeah. Yes, I do remember those. But no, we had a good time, although we didn't see any whales, so
In the water, you mean?
yeah. So much has happened, Terry.
Yeah. So what else? What else has happened? Oh, by the way, I wanted to thank Alex for being on the show last week. And I also wanted to apologize to him because even though we heard what he was saying and we understood and we were in a good conversation, there was still words that I got incorrectly in the captions, in the subtitles. And he helped me correct. And I had a couple of friends that helped me, by the way, throughout the episode, making sure we got the little detail words because it was really important to listen to what he said, right? And
He he was a heck of a motivational individual, that's for sure. He had a fantastic message. So you did a great job, Terry. It looked great. I saw it and I was like, man, I would have given up 10 minutes into this thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a good episode. And I hope I wanted to make sure we presented him right and didn't get a single word wrong, like because there was a couple times when he's like, and he corrected me, he's like, no, I said this. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And
Eh.
he's like, no, no, it's okay. He said, no, no, it's okay. I should have talked slower. And that's what he said, bro. And I'm like, nah, man, you talk the way you want. It's not you. You know,
No, we've had so many amazing people on the show this year.
yeah, I say we have a show where we bring all 60 guests in on together.
Yeah, that's going to be the world's worst Zoom. Well, we'll take it back to the pandemic where everyone's on the same screen with every face and everyone's talking, and the whole episode is just you're on mute. You're on mute. Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. We can't hear you. That's the whole episode. I
And
I don't miss that.
no, I don't miss that either. Um, you know,
Ugh, I'm dragging.
so let's
This,
drag out of here.
no, this it's the time change, man. It's the
Oh, yeah, that's right.
ugh. It's just the whole this whole week has just been. I woke up in a panic because I thought I was late. I'm sure many people have done that. Then I was like, so I woke up in a panic, and then it took me like an hour to remember that I really don't have anywhere to be. So why am I panicking? Like I could sleep all day if I needed to. You know, it's not like I have little ones. My girls are more than capable of taking care of themselves.
You have kids?
Yeah. So,
I changed all my clocks the night before,
do you?
and I'm talking about like 7 p.m. the night before. Like I don't wait till
Really?
2 in the morning to change clocks or the next day. No,
I think it's ridiculous. I think we could do away with it at this point.
I can't believe we still have to manually change clocks. Like our
Ah,
phones automatically switch.
yeah.
You have a clock in your
I
home?
I
Like
yeah,
what?
yeah. You have three manual clocks that you have to wind. Ugh.
Your oven doesn't change the time automatically? You don't have one of those smart ovens?
But here's the bigger question, Terry. If we didn't have analog clocks that we had to manually change, and all the clocks just changed overnight one day to some other time, would we even notice? Or we would just be like, huh, it's 4 o'clock at night now, and the sun's not even up.
You're right. I don't know. Like I'm
How would
sure
you even know?
well, yeah, I'm
What
sh
if what if AI conspires and changes all the time on us while we're sleeping? Would we even
there's only one province in Canada that doesn't do the time change,
okay,
and
so we'll have to
everybody
rely
else
on them.
does. No, no, but um, if there was no more time change, because everyone keeps saying, let's remove it, let's get it out of here. If
Right.
there was no time change, would they still say, this is usually when the time change would happen? Would
Yeah,
they
probably.
would they just not say it anymore? Would they talk about it? Bro, I
It
don't
would
think it affects me as much.
it would go into history books where they would start teaching like back in the days of yore, we had to manually change our clocks.
The only uh, thing that I noticed about it is, say I wake up every morning at 9 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
I woke up at 8 a.m. and I was like, oh, it's only 8. I can sleep for another hour. I couldn't. I couldn't. Even though the night before I slept really late. So it had nothing to do with the night before or whatnot, but it was 8 a.m. and I'm like, it's 8 a.m. And I tried to sleep and I tried to sleep and I'm like, I couldn't. And then as I got up and I entered a group with all my family, they were talking about the time change. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Shouldn't have done that. Okay. But I'm like, all right, that's right. We had an hour change. I'm like, oh my God, it did affect me.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that a 1 hour time difference like turns up the fatigue. Like I'm so fatigued this week. The weather's all over the place. The time is what's going on, Tara? What are you doing up there in Canada? Why are you
Seriously.
last year you were sending me, was it earlier this year or last year where you were sending me all the smoke from all those fires?
That was like 2 years ago,
Was that
man.
2 years ago? See, I don't even know what time is anymore. See? I don't know. So lost.
That was a while ago.
It was 2 years ago?
I don't know, bro. Don't put me on the spot.
You're putting me on the spot now. I don't
Now,
even know.
now people are like, dude, it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
No, dude.
they're still going on.
Yeah.
I feel like I entered a time warp.
I, I it's funny because before we came on, I was tired, man. This always perks me up. It's so funny. And I was talking to friends. I'm like, I got to do a show, and I enjoy it. Don't get me wrong, but it's not that. It's like, you know, what is there to talk about? Even though I always have things to talk about, but
Yeah,
I want to relate to people. I want them because they're coming in here to listen. So let's relate to.
yeah, yeah. We just did our end of the year wrap up for the MS Society because they don't they don't expect really anything to happen between now and the end of the year because of all the elections and stuff like that. And so we did our little end of the year wrap up. We talked about the progress, we had made and the stuff we had funded and what's coming up next year. Excuse me. So that was cool. I'm gonna keep going on into my second year. So I'm excited about that. Man, sorry.
I was approached by Karen. I don't know if you remember Karen Jacoby,
Yeah, absolutely.
and nothing's happening. I was approached, and I might be getting involved with the adv
Good,
advocacy
good.
team. So it just talks. Nothing's happened yet, but just to let you know. So
Well, you're basically an advocate every week. So that's a
yeah,
natural fit.
thanks, buddy.
Of course.
I'm just trying to bring it up to your level.
Trying to find all those teachable moments in restaurants or bars when people hit your chair.
Yeah. Don't bring me back to that. What am I supposed to say when someone kicks my chair? Uh, Like, I'm not mad. First of all, it's my chair. I understand. If they kicked my leg, then the guy should come to me and be like, I'm so sorry. And I'll
Yeah,
be like, "Ah, it's
obviously.
fine. It's not my legs. We get it. It's just a chair." You know how we all get sensitive? We're like, those are my legs. Yeah, it's my legs. Don't take away my legs. Tap into it. It's okay. I was just sensitive at the fact that he looked down at the chair and said sorry. I was just like, why didn't you say I'm human? Why'd you say sorry to my chair? It was just, I feel like maybe it's because it was my moments where I'm like, oh, I get to get mad now, right? Like these are one of those moments that people
And then
talk about.
nothing.
And then,
Oh
whatever.
boy.
Yeah. So, um, when you voted, sorry, we're not talking politics, but when you voted,
We can. I'll
was
tell you who I voted for president. Do you want to know?
I don't mind, but I don't want you to give away whatever. But oh,
I voted for the same person for president that I've been voting for the last, I can't even tell you how many elections. Me. I write my name in for president of the United States every election.
are you serious?
You're supposed to vote for who you think the best candidate is and who's better to run this country than me.
But you're not a candidate.
I meet all the requirements.
Okay, cool,
Nick Spade
cool.
for president. You have voted for worse. That's my campaign slogan. No.
I
Nope.
don't even know what to say anymore,
Yeah,
man.
everybody listen, everybody gets mad at me, but it's true. I write my name in for president.
I was gonna ask you, like, does their disability plan mean a lot to you now?
Absolutely,
Like,
yeah. 100%. I'm totally on board with everything I want to do with my disability plan.
I'm just wondering how many people are hating on you right now.
They're all going to. And they do in real life too. When they say, "What? You throw your vote away?" I don't throw my vote away. I vote for exactly the candidate I want. And that's the beauty of our election system.
That's the smartest thing someone could say.
Yep. It hurts. It does it I mean, now granted I lose by a lot every 4 years. Like it's not even close. But I do get at least one vote. And there was one year I got 4 votes.
No, because four other dumbasses said Nick because they're voting for themselves.
No, three people
Oh,
didn't like their choices. And I said, we can always vote for me.
Dude,
And
that's funny.
they said, that sounds like a great idea. So they went in and they wrote my name in.
I apologize for saying dumbass. I think that's the greatest idea. But you're not a candidate, so even if you got the majority, you wouldn't be president.
That would be newsworthy, Terry. If I won the popular vote somehow and I was not even on the ticket, the first write-in candidate ever to win.
I would move to the States just so you can give me a pardon so I can do some illegal shit.
Terry, it's the Nick Terry ticket, sir. I need a vice president.
I look like a vice president, don't I?
All you got to do is look presidential-ish, not totally presidential, just presidential-ish. Why, you don't want to be on the ticket in the next 4 years?
No,
You don't want to be my running mate? I mean, it'd be kind of tough because you're not a U.S. citizen.
bro. I don't want to.
Can you imagine the news? They would have that would be the 24-hour news cycle for months at a time. If me, who's not even who's a registered independent, who's not even on the ticket, and my running mate, who's not even a U.S. citizen, win the election for president of the United States, they wouldn't know what to do. The news networks would blow up.
Bro, for what's going on in this world, I don't think that's far-fetched.
That's why I say now's our time, Terry. It's time for world domination.
Dude, relax yourself, bro.
I can see the comments now. I'm getting out of here. I've had enough.
Okay, good.
See everybody next week.
All right, bro. Much love, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk soon.
So check us out at 40belowzero.com. That's 4 letter T below 0.com. Or feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Our email address is info@40belowzero.com. Our personal Instagram account are, for Nix, it's Nix_V713. Or for Terry, it's What's_MS. Awesome. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. We'll talk soon.